everybody! Today we're gonna clean our rooms together. My name is Alana, I'm 22, I have autism and ADHD, and this is what my room currently looks like. You can't even see how bad it is, to be honest, through this clip. It is really, really bad, so we're gonna clean it in real time. We're gonna go real super slow, and I'm going to voice over this whole thing and just yap about random things, so put this on your TV, put this on your laptop, whatever, just set it up and start cleaning with me. First of all, if you haven't gotten ready for the day yet, you should totally do that. Do as I say, not as I do, because I did not wash my face or put on any makeup in this video, but I find it really helpful to put on like a skimpy outfit and to wash my face and brush my teeth and brush my hair and maybe even put on makeup, maybe even put on a bra to clean. Get ready to clean. Get out of bed, roll out of bed. I'm sure you haven't gotten ready for the day yet. If you're watching this video and you really need this video, then I'm imagining you probably haven't gotten out of bed yet, so roll out of bed, wash your face, come do that with me. I will be here the whole time. Cleaning sucks, but we are completely capable of it. You just have to remember it will not take as long as you think it's going to take. Even like a 5-minute pickup is better than nothing, so at least do the first 5 minutes with me, and then if you don't feel like you want to keep going, you can totally stop. If you got up and you started cleaning the moment you started this video, then you've already hit 1 minute of cleaning. 1 minute down, probably not that much to go in the grand scheme of things, and you're gonna feel so much better when it's over. Okay, so I picked a few topics I wanted to talk about for today, just things I could yap about for a little while. So we're just gonna jump into these topics, and these topics are completely irrelevant to like ADHD and autism. I feel like that would be helpful because I hate thinking about my own ADHD when I'm cleaning. Like, it gets best when I completely forget about that and turn on a podcast and just go into like autopilot mode. But I did want to say a quick reminder before we get started. If you get distracted, that's okay. Think about it like I will get distracted, but how am I going to manage that? How am I going to redirect myself after I get distracted? It's okay to get distracted. It's kind of like when you're meditating and they're like, your mind will go different places while you meditate, but just gently remind yourself to go back to nothingness. It's like that hard for someone with ADHD to not get distracted by other things going on in their room while they're cleaning it. So just know that it is an inevitable. It's going to happen. You're going to get distracted by things, but all that matters is that you keep going afterwards. And maybe you set yourself a limit for how long you can be distracted by things. Maybe it's a minute, maybe it's 5 minutes. And once those 5 minutes are up, you're just going to continue doing your tasks. So the first topic I actually wanted to talk about was Gabby Hannah. And I know that's kind of a crazy thing to talk about, and it's not going to be relevant to everyone, but if y'all don't know, Gabby Hannah was this YouTuber in the prime era of YouTube, like 2016 to 2018. She was a story time YouTuber, but she also did like makeup stuff, lifestyle stuff. She posted about her weight loss journey. I was such a huge fan of her in this era. Truly like turned on Gabby Hannah to do anything, including clean. And she's made this really interesting return after multiple very public breakdowns, and I'm not really here to talk about my opinion on those things. I really just want to talk about her return. So she recently returned to the internet, and interestingly enough, she still is pushing this really intense narrative about her past surrounding other YouTube drama people. So like, she hates Trisha Paytas, right? Trisha Paytas has nothing to do with her anymore. Trisha Paytas is doing her own thing and literally has 3 children. But Gabby Hannah literally a week ago or like 2 weeks ago made this really, really long podcast yelling at Trisha Paytas, and it felt the exact same as her other crash outs. It just doesn't actually feel like she's grown that much. She's just like doing the exact same thing but hiding it under this lens of Christianity. That's the other thing. She's now very Christian. She used to have a neck tattoo and now she's a Christian, and she's pretty conservative of a Christian. I also used to be a Christian, but I experienced like religious psychosis. The way that I experienced my Christianity was not at all healthy or good, and I honestly feel like she's experiencing the exact same thing, but now she's married to a Christian. Like, she is really pigeonholed into this life, so if she ever wakes up and realizes that she's under a spell, I don't know if she'll have anywhere to go. And I also think she might be too deep in it. It's really easy to fall into Christianity after you've done like a bad thing, you know? I was really miserable in my very young adulthood, and so I kind of turned to Christianity thinking that it would help my mental health because I had tried medications, I had tried therapy, and nothing had really helped. So I kind of thought that like Jesus would save me or whatever. Honestly think that Gabby Hannah is going through the exact same thing. If you're on the outside of a cult, it's really hard to imagine being on the inside of it. So if you never have been in the Christianity world, if you don't know what kind of spell it puts you under, it's probably pretty hard to empathize with Gabby Hannah. I do think it's possible to have faith in God and even faith in Jesus without being a part of a cult, but I do think that conservative Christianity is a cult. And just to like differentiate, I think that Christians who are independent thinkers and who just believe in some of the things the Bible says, like, I understand that. But if you are a part of a community that thinks a certain way and wants everyone to think a certain way and wants all of your friends to think a certain way and wants you not to be interacting with worldly, secular, sinner people, I think that's cult behavior. So for example, ensuring your friends are Christian, trying to evangelize everyone in your life, starting to have opinions about gay people and sexual immorality and oddly specific stuff like that. Like, I feel like that's where we get into sort of a toxic territory. For me, when I was quote unquote Christian, I was really the most judgmental version of myself I ever have been. I was so not myself and I was so messed up in the head. And I think the other thing is that some people, not me personally, but some people turn into Christianity to avoid owning up to things they've done wrong in the past. And I do feel like Gabby Hannah's kind of leaning towards that, because once you're a Christian, the whole rhetoric is like, it's between me and God, you know, I've been made new in Christ, all that stuff, you know? So you don't necessarily have to give like a public apology when you've hurt people, or even like individually reach out and apologize to people because God has cleansed your heart or whatever. But in the real world with real people like to be heard, and they like to be told that the person who harmed them is sorry. And Gabby Hannah has done really horrible things. Like, her best friend was R-worded, and Gabby Hannah was really fucked up about it. Gabby Hannah neglected her friend, and there's so much proof of this, and so much proof that Gabby Hannah was denying that it ever happened. All of this proof is out there, and like, I just feel like that is so fucked up. Gabby Hannah says everyone else in her life is a narcissistic abuser. I am so mad at whoever taught her the term narcissistic abuser, because apparently every single person on the internet is a narcissistic abuser. As someone on the internet who has gotten like a decent amount of backlash in my past, if the entire internet agrees on something, they might be right. At the very least, they're right about how it's being perceived. Like, for example, the internet gave me a lot of backlash about my relationship, and even though the backlash wasn't necessarily valid in my actual relationship, their backlash was warranted because of the way I made my video. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was saying concerning things that led them to believe this. It didn't just come out of thin air. And Gabby Hannah's thinking that all of this hate came out of thin air, you know, like these bullies just like put a campaign against her for no reason. And that's just not true. There's like all this proof against Gabby Hannah, but because she's a Christian, she doesn't feel like she has to own up to anything, and she can actually deny everything. But I guess what's like least Christian about this whole podcast is that she's so fucking angry. She's so filled with fury. And now that I'm completely secular and not a Christian at all, I actually don't think anger is like a sin. I don't think anger is a bad thing at all. I feel like anger is an emotion that we all experience to a certain extent, and trying to never feel angry is completely unrealistic, because people are going to wrong us and hurt our feelings, you know? It just matters what we do with that anger, you know? Like, hopefully we don't lash out or yell or hit or do anything really fucked up with our anger. Hopefully we find a way to take some alone time and cool down, or find a way to like constructively communicate what we're going through, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't think anger in itself is a sin, but like Christians do. So why is Gabby Hannah all Christian and then also like doing all these sins, you know? It's just so interesting. And it's also just like a case study in someone thinking they're the victim in every single scenario. I just genuinely don't know how it's possible. Like, the things that she has lost, the opportunities she's lost, it has to be because of something. Those things do not just randomly fucking happen. Like, I don't think cancellations just randomly happen. I don't think people getting pissed off randomly happens. Like, I am someone on the internet, so sometimes people will comment something that I'm like, wow, that is really ridiculous. Like, I'm not gonna respond to that. That's really, like, I don't know why you would care about that. You know, like, something so insignificant, right? But like, these things are significant as fuck. And like, it's just also a case study in like the worst PR team imaginable. And I know she doesn't have a PR team anymore. She is her own PR team, but the way that she has handled all of these different scandals is so bad, just from like an internet perspective. In so many different perspectives, it's really bad how she's been handling this. But in the sense of like, how do you maintain your audience? How do you apologize? How do you find a way to move forward? Like, all of those things, she's doing the exact opposite of what I would recommend. I thought for a while I would maybe go into PR, and honestly, it's still an option for sure, because I'm really interested in like recovering one's image, what that looks like. And I feel like Gabby Hannah is charismatic as fuck, and she might have been able to recover her image if she hadn't doubled down over and over and over again. If she had just taken a step back and realized that maybe all of the people on the internet are not wrong, maybe if she just like saw where they were coming from, you know, I think she could have been able to recover her image. But I do think it's too late now. Okay, so as much as I'd like to spend this entire video talking about that, because it is so complicated and there are so many different nuances, I also just wanted to talk about like a lot of other things. So we're gonna move on just to keep things interesting so that we don't settle into one topic for too long. Also, just wanted to really quickly say, like, I do not support Gabby Hannah. This is not me coming out in support of Gabby Hannah. It is quite the opposite. I'm just discussing Gabby Hannah because I honestly feel like I could have turned into a Gabby Hannah if I stuck with Christianity and if I avoided accountability. But I love accountability, and I don't understand being allergic to it, because impact over intent, you know, maybe Gabby Hannah never intended to hurt anyone's feelings ever, which I don't really believe, just based on how vindictive and angry she is all the time. But even if she always had good intentions, she clearly hurt people's feelings, and she also does not care. And I just feel like that's gotta be some sort of disorder. There's gotta be something up with that. That's just not right. The next thing I wanted to talk about is something that y'all bring up to me a lot, which is overconsumption. Every time I have a video that does well and is a haul video, I get people saying that I overconsume, which is honestly understandable. You know, like I was saying with all the Gabby Hannah stuff, like people don't say things on the internet for no reason. I do haul videos pretty regularly, and I go thrifting pretty regularly, so I can see why people have this feedback for me. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think that thrifting is a form of overconsumption. I think of overconsumption as an overuse of certain materials. Like if you were to have 7 drawers of makeup, I feel like that's overconsumption. If you were literally to like buy way more food than you eat, not just like on accident, but regularly buy way more food than you eat and just like let it rot, that's overconsumption. Seeking out new items to replace the things that you have, like regularly going shopping at the mall, even when you have plenty of things already, I feel like that's overconsumption. I am a girl who loves to shop. Like straight up, I love to shop. I hate to shop firsthand. I love to thrift. And there is so much in terms of thrifting that goes to landfills that I am not necessarily taking more than my share, in my opinion. Because there's just like 75% of it or something goes to landfills anyway. So there are so many thrifts in my area and everybody thrifts, and honestly, everyone gets their share. So it's not really about that. I'm glad to save things from landfill, and then I always find a way to like repurpose it or like find a different home for it so that it doesn't end up in landfill after I thrift it. So I thrift it, I save it from landfill, and then if I later on sell it cheap on Depop or Poshmark, or if I like sell it to Buffalo Exchange or something like that, then I pretty much know for sure that it won't end up in landfill, at least not for this next cycle. I don't think I'm using too many resources by buying things secondhand. I don't think I actually could, especially considering like I make sure to do it in an ethical way. But again, that's like my definition of overconsumption. Some people lean with the more simple version of overconsumption, which is like literally consuming too much. So if you think I have too much clothing, that's totally valid. That's like a subjective thing, and that can be your opinion. At the same time, this is my job, and it's like that's what I mean by saying it's complicated. It's multifaceted, and I feel like a certain pressure to make videos about thrifting on the reg because they kind of do the best for me, you know? And at the end of the day, like rent does need to be paid, so I do need to go to the thrift regularly. So someone commented recently like, there's no reason why someone needs to go thrifting this much, and it's like, yeah, I turned making videos about thrifting into my job. It's a wild thing, but it's true. Y'all will realize if you take a close look that when I go thrifting, I make multiple videos, multiple short form videos. So y'all may think I'm going thrifting every single day, but really I'm going once or twice a week and like using a bunch of those videos over and over again, etc. I try to be smart about it, you know, and I don't always buy things every time I go thrifting. I just don't. Sometimes I do just make videos and then leave the store. And I do own a lot of clothing, y'all. I will be honest, I own more clothing than I really need, but I love fashion so much, and like clothing is something I've always wanted kind of in excess of. Like I love making outfits, I love being expressive. It's just my passion. It's something I really like, and again, I think doing it secondhand is doing it ethically. So that's kind of my opinion. But at the end of the day, I'm not a sustainability expert, and I'm just a random girl like trying to do my best to care about the environment to the extent I'm capable of. I am not perfect at all. I'm not a perfect consumer. A lot of times I will accidentally support brands that aren't good. Promoting thrifting is kind of my contribution to trying to make the environment a little bit of a better place. It's kind of like my thing, but that doesn't mean that I'm overall a perfect consumer or overall like an ethical fashion person. Like I'm just doing my best here, y'all. And at the end of the day, rent does need to be paid, so I'm just trying to keep making videos for as long as possible. So that leads us into our next topic, which is my future. What am I doing with my future? Am I going to be a YouTuber and influencer forever? The answer is I don't know. If y'all let me stay here and keep making videos forever, I would absolutely love that. But I also want to get more education. I've not really known in the past few years like what I want to be at school for. I've already gotten 70 credits of higher education at my local community college, but most of those are science credits. It was fun and also really overwhelming, and also really proof that I can do hard things. I was doing pre-nursing at the time, but I realized I did not want to be a nurse anymore, which is kind of its whole own separate video. But now I'm just at a place where I really do want to go back to school. I'm really close to the university near me, and I really want to go, but I'm not sure for what. I've always wanted to study theater, but that dream was squished pretty quickly when my dad really heavily discouraged me from doing it. My dad created a whole life in the theater, a whole career in the theater for like 30 plus years. And because of that, like my family moved around a lot because it's really hard to maintain a job in that field. And my dad also like put a lot of pressure on me growing up and stuff. So I never even let myself dare to dream that I would study acting or theater or whatever. But now I currently have a job in the theater. My job in the real world is being a children's youth director. It's so much fun and it is so incredibly fulfilling. And I find myself just like wanting more education for the purpose of having education, not necessarily to actually have a career in the theater. So I'm kind of considering getting my undergrad in acting and pursuing a master's in something else that I can actually make a career out of. You know, so few bachelor's degrees turn into actual careers. So if I could get like a good scholarship and not have too much debt, I would totally go back to school for theater and then get a master's in like something, either education or nonprofit management or both. Something like that is what I'm thinking right now. But like I've changed my mind about my career many many times in my 20s so far. And I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that, especially because right now I have a job that's like flexible and I can do anywhere. And honestly, that's like the biggest blessing ever. So I'm really considering a lot of different options. Like I said, I'm also considering PR. I'm also considering marketing. I'm considering a lot of different things. I mean, my dream would honestly be to own a theater, but honestly, that's not a super lucrative career path. I just don't even know. I don't even know. I still feel so young. It's crazy how young I still feel and how many questions I have, but I'm really ambitious and I know that once I decide, nothing will stop me from making it happen. And I want to be an educated person. I want to go to school. And the thing about getting a theater degree is it's still a degree, even if a lot of people don't think it's real. Like, it's real and it would not make me want to die, you know? It wouldn't make me want to kill myself. Like, it is something I'm so fascinated in and I absolutely love. So I would genuinely be enjoying myself while also getting my degree, which I never thought was possible. Like, I thought it had to be torture, you know? And I was looking at all the classes they offer at my local college for their acting major, and a lot of those things are things I've like already done and accomplished, etc. So like, if they were to give me credits for that, I could graduate like pretty soon actually, because I have so much experience in the theater. It just kind of feels like something that's meant to be. Like, I never intended to have a career in the theater, but now both of my current jobs involve like the principles of theater, so it's just something I want to know more about. And like, I miss when people went to college because they wanted to know more about things, and now everything is about money, and I totally understand why, because we're in late stage capitalism and there's literally no other option. And I've totally been in that camp of like, unless you're getting a nursing undergrad, like, don't even go to college. Like, you will be wasting your money, you will just be going into debt for no reason. But like, if I were to be privileged enough to like get a scholarship and be able to go to college with little to no debt and study what I want, that's kind of like the dream, you know? I just want to know more about theater, so that's kind of my dream right now. But it's crazy because it's what I always wanted as a kid, and it's what I always knew I wanted to do, is like do theater stuff for a living and be in leadership, etc., etc. And then I just kind of fell into it and it was so natural, and now I just want more knowledge. So I guess I'll keep y'all in the loop, but I'm not totally sure.
Can we talk about phone addiction? I have been seriously struggling with phone addiction on and off for like the longest time. Also, if you've been cleaning with me since the beginning, you are at over 15 minutes now, so thank you so much for cleaning with me. You're doing a great job. Just keep pushing. I think so fondly about the time before short form content was introduced to my phone. I got my first phone when I was 10 years old. It was a hand-me-down iPhone 4S. Back in the day, they had the really square chargers. Throwback. The reason why I was given a phone when I was so young is because me and my siblings rode the bus home, and we lived very rurally, so the bus home was like 40 minutes long, and my parents just wanted to make sure they could contact me if they had to. And shortly after they gave me my first phone, my grandma actually got into a car accident, and they got to tell me that, you know, and I was really grateful to have a phone. And back then, I did have some games on my phone, but it was like Toilet Time, Subway Surfers. What's that one with the guy who's like running through the stone shit? Temple Run. I think it's called Temple Run. I loved just playing games with my one bus friend and also my siblings on our 40-minute bus ride. It was like so much fun to have a freaking phone. I felt so cool. And sometimes I would even play Five Nights at Freddy's and then like scream very, very loud on the bus. Anyway, I look back on that time so fondly. Then I got social media when I was 13. I got Instagram. My parents didn't let me get Instagram until my 13th birthday, and I'm honestly really glad for that. But at the time, Instagram was a really different place. Like, everyone was using Instagram really casually. This was 2017. So like, any random selfie was kind of like fair game to post. And it didn't matter if it was quality. And we really did just use it to interact with our friends. Like, there was definitely some cyberbullying going on. Like, I definitely said rude things to people while on Instagram. People said rude things about me on Instagram. But like, it was just nothing like what Instagram is today. And then in 2019, I downloaded TikTok, and that honestly changed everything. My relationship with social media had been kind of the same for a while. I was pretty addicted to it, but I could easily put my phone down if something more interesting like a real human interaction was an option. And again, social media at this time was something I really mostly used to interact with other people, like actually text my friends and stuff like that. But once I downloaded TikTok, things pretty quickly changed. I was so addicted to TikTok immediately. Like, y'all, before this, I had not experienced short form content on my brain, like scrolling different videos. It's like literally a lottery. It mimics gambling so that you get super addicted to it. It's like this infinite dopamine loop. I don't know. It's insane. So I scrolled on TikTok for multiple hours immediately after downloading it. It was wild. And I started making TikToks, and I got really, really addicted to it. And I ended up getting 1.4 million subscribers in like the first 6 months of me posting on TikTok, something like that. Followers. Sorry, it's not subscribers on TikTok. Anyway, it was just so much. And then I ended up actually deleting all of my TikToks and deleting TikTok and completely quitting when I was 16. And that could have been like my opportunity, you know? I could have turned that into a whole career. ostensibly, but I'm honestly so glad I didn't. Even though for a while after that I was like, oh my god, that was my only chance to do something I love for a living, but it ended up not being my only chance because YouTube ended up coming around for me, you know, much later. But back then, if you deleted TikTok, you didn't have short form videos on your phone, you know? And short form content slowly started taking over fucking everything because guess what? It really does keep you on the app. And these apps are free because the product is your attention. So back then you could delete TikTok and you would know that like your addiction to scrolling short form videos is gone, you know? You don't have access to it anymore unless you re-download the app. But now there's YouTube Shorts, there's Instagram Shorts, Facebook Reels, it's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. It's impossible to avoid. And now it's like a whole new level of addiction for me. I don't even know how to handle it. And I don't think anyone does. I feel like almost everyone is struggling with short form content addiction to a certain extent. And I also am someone who struggles with like dopamine regulation. I don't feel like I have enough dopamine in my brain to get me to do like regular people things. And it feels really, really good to scroll, obviously. It honestly makes my ADHD and my autism so much worse. I find when I've been spending like the whole day scrolling, my capacity for different like sensory issues is so much lower, and I'm grumpy, irritable, stressed, because I see also like a lot of stressful shit on there. Like I don't feel like I was meant to see all these horrible images all the fucking time. On one hand, I feel very privileged to say that because I'm not experiencing any of the horrible things going on in the world firsthand, but at the same time, it's like I'm not actively choosing this, you know? I scroll and it just comes up, and that makes me feel really scared and stressed, and it just like puts my nervous system into overdrive.
This is not sponsored at all, and I haven't even tried this app yet, but I did just find out about this app called Socialite that is actually an app that blocks short form content off of your phone. So you still have Instagram, and you can even still be sent reels, but you just can't scroll afterwards. I've been really interested in trying it, but because I literally make short form content for my job, I'm really not sure if I could do that, because I don't know if I could even post short form content with that app downloaded. So I really want to try it. It is free to download and it's free to operate too. I've learned about it a little bit. So it's called Socialite. Social Lite. So just Google it if you're interested, if you also struggle with this. I think it's really cool that someone's like making a product or like an app, a free app that makes it accessible for people to get rid of these things, because obviously it's really bad for us. I really like making reels though. That's the thing that's so complicated. Like I took a break from making reels right before I actually got successful on YouTube Shorts. I took a break from making short form content because I was using a flip phone and I was taking a break from the internet and everything, and I realized how good it was for my mental health. But also like people are gonna scroll, so if I'm gonna add something like positive to that scrolling experience, like that's the best I could ask for. And it's just really fun to make short form videos. I've really found my home in creating short form content, even though I do actually feel so mixed about it ethically. I'm like, oh my god, I'm a part of the problem. It's just so important to like find a balance, and I'm still figuring out how to do that really. But let's move on to the next topic. So I recently broke up with my therapist, and I kind of just want to talk about everything involving that. I have had an extensive history with therapy, and not necessarily an entirely positive one. My first therapist I got when I was 13, and she was a real kooky lady. She was an older lady, and the main thing I remember about her is that she said the word mature like this: mature. She called me a very mature young lady, and I could never talk to her about anything because she was so fucking weird. She would always just give me the randomest advice, and she had no idea what it was like to be a 7th grader, and I couldn't tell her that like I was queer and that people were weird about my queerness in school. It was just not like a super friendly experience. And she had this sand thing, but she had this sand thing that was so fascinating. She would like write down where we would put every single thing. So she had this like box of sand, and she had a bunch of little accessories we can put into it, like little fairy things and shit. And then she would write down where we placed things, you know? It was so fucking weird. I don't know what she was learning from that psychologically, especially because I was old enough to like explain where I was psychologically. So I don't really know what that was doing, but I would always just resort to that. Like, and then she would ask me questions about my life, and I would kind of chat with her while also playing with the sandbox, but mostly I was playing with the sandbox. Like that was the best part of it. And I distinctly remember, and I shouldn't probably be sharing this, but like my brother was so resistant to therapy at the time, and he would be like sobbing in the car, and then my mom would like physically remove him from the car to try to get him to go to therapy. And I remember that like traumatizing me. Anyway, I don't know why I just said that out loud. Hopefully none of my family members are watching this far into the video. But anyway, so then my second therapist I got was this woman. I almost just said her name. She really pissed me off. I started going to therapy with her when I was 13, I think. She should not have a therapy license. She told me I was like mildly anorexic when I was anorexic. Sorry, trigger warning, eating disorders. She like said a lot of very triggering things about my eating disorder, and I guess I will keep those private because they are literally so obscene. It was like she wanted me to die. Like she wanted me to get worse and worse and worse with my eating disorder. It was like, and it worked. She would be like, you're like, this is your BMI. This is how anorexic you are. What does that make you feel? And it's like, and I said, of course, that makes me want to lose more weight. That makes me want to get more anorexic. And she was like, She was so fucking weird. And then she told my mom every single thing I ever told her. Like when it got to a point where it was dangerous and she was worried about my health, she ended up tattling to my mom, and she completely ruined my trust because she told me that session that morning, she was like, I'm gonna have to tell your mom, by the way, about what's going on, like before you move, because I was about to move to Oregon. So I was like, I know, first of all, no, you can't. And I freaked out because I was so secretive about my eating disorder. But then my therapist was like, well, we can just decide together what I'm gonna share. I think it's okay if all I share is like, I think you need an eating disorder therapist in Eugene. And I was like, okay, that sounds fine, like we can do that. But then it turns out my therapist shared everything. So all of a sudden I started getting these texts from my mom. I already knew my mom was going to figure out. So I was freaking out that day. But then I got all these texts from my mom, like, she said your goal weight is X amount of weight. She said all these different things. Like, she literally said everything to my mom. She ruined my trust, and she ruined my trust in therapists in general. I didn't get another therapist until I was 17. So speaking of which, my parents never really got me an eating disorder therapist, which part of me felt really mad about because I was like, wow, they don't even give a fuck. But I know that they tried, like they reached out to some people, but it was also 2020 at the time. So it was like, obviously they're like, everyone's so fucking full and everyone's doing online therapy. So I got an online therapist when I was 17. And this guy, I feel like his name was Brandon or something, and he was a redhead, and I just did not relate to him on any level. So I just did that thing when I broke up with him. I was like, I'm feeling so much better. Thank you so much. And then I didn't go to therapy again until now. I'm 22 and I have been feeling like really depressed. I've been struggling with my mental health a lot in so many different ways. So I decided to seek out therapy again. And I basically said, like, I have a preference for women, but I'm willing to see men. Like, I have a preference for in person, but I'm willing to do online. And then I got matched with a guy therapist who lives in Texas, who only obviously does online because I live in Oregon, but he has a license in Oregon anyway. So that didn't work out super duper well. We just aren't a perfect match. He just doesn't feel like a girly pop to me. I don't feel like I can talk to him about women's issues or queer issues, like my neurodivergencies. He did help me a lot, though. He did do EMDR on me. EMDR is super interesting. You, like, think about your trauma while looking at someone's finger going back and forth. And the way someone else explained it on the internet is, like, when you go to sleep, you sometimes wake up feeling better after, like, having a conflict or something bad happens the day before. You go to sleep, you wake up, you feel a little bit better. And part of that is because of REM sleep. Like, when your eyes are rapidly moving, in a way, it sort of, like, resets your brain. I don't really know the science about it, so I'm so sorry. I'm a little uneducated on this topic. But I think it's really fucking fascinating. And we did it about my emetophobia. So I have a phobia of throwing up. It is so bad, or it historically has been so bad. It was a huge part of the reason why I ended up, like, starving myself, was because I was so afraid I would throw up, you know? It's, like, so fucking weird, because of course you're gonna get sick if you starve yourself, duh. But anyway, so I starved myself and stuff. It was so bad growing up, and I was always really, really underweight until I was, like, 13, and then I hit puberty, and then I kind of felt a little bit better with my emetophobia, but it's come in waves my entire childhood, and I haven't thrown up since I was 8 years old. So he made me remember the last time I threw up, like, in graphic, vivid detail while doing the EMDR, like, finger motions. It was so fucking weird, and I was sobbing through the whole thing. I hated it so much. But I went back the second time and, like, did it more until it was back to neutral. Like, the memory was neutralized, and I was able to see the memory in a more positive light, like see that my grandma was there with me helping me out, and that I wasn't alone, and that it wasn't that painful, and I felt better once it was over and stuff. Like, I was trying to remember all these things about it, and it was really helpful to remember the more positive aspects of it, and also remember that, like, the last time I threw up, I was a helpless young child. Now I teach, like, summer camps, and I teach theater, and 8-year-olds are so young to me because they are really, really, really young. And with all of the knowledge I have, with all of the life experience I have now, if I were to throw up now at 22, it would be a completely different experience, and I probably would feel better, like, instantly, you know? So it really helped me to neutralize those memories, and I already feel so much better about the whole phobia. Like, when I feel nauseous, I tell myself, like, yeah, I might throw up, whatever. Like, I will be fine. I will live to see another day, and that's so incredibly helpful. Like, I have been telling myself those kinds of things and trying to rationalize those kinds of things for the longest time, but it doesn't stop like the insane amount of anxiety. But now I feel like my anxiety when I get nauseous is a little bit lower, or like probably significantly lower. I'm also able now to like isolate whether or not I'm feeling anxious or if I have a stomach ache, because back before like I did EMDR, every single time I would feel anxious, I was pretty sure it was a stomach ache, and that would make me even more anxious, and that would pretty much lead to a panic attack. And now I feel a lot better about all of that. So I'm really grateful for everything my therapist did for me, but now it just feels like we don't have a lot in common, and I don't really know what we can talk about. Like, a lot of times I'll come to him with something I kind of want to talk about in therapy, and he's like, I'm not really going to get into that. And I'm like, well, then I don't know what we're going to talk about. It just feels kind of awkward. I can't even lie. So I want to find a therapist that's local, that I can just like sit on their couch and just like update them about my week, and they can give me their smart thoughts about it, and it can be a little bit more casual, sort of like a maintenance thing. Like, I'm not necessarily trying to solve any of my issues at this point, especially because I'm doing a lot better in a lot of ways. But I definitely do want someone who I can talk to about like conflicts in my life, different things going on, and they can offer me some guidance. But I want it to feel a little bit more casual, because I think my therapist was like, my current therapist is way too professional for me. He's just like a really oddly formal guy, and I do feel like there is a balance there, which I've had therapists in the past that were way too casual. Like that one therapist I had when I was 13 that like tattled about my eating disorder. She was way too casual. Every single session she would start by being like, oh, I didn't take my ADHD meds today, I'm so scattered, like I'm freaking out, like I don't. She would literally rant about her own life for like half of the session. That's part of the reason why I say she should not have a license at all. It's insane. But anyway, I do think there's a balance. Like, I think that therapists can have some level of like a casual vibe, or at least like an inviting, warm, welcoming vibe, you know? I even want a therapist that like curses a little bit, you know? Like, I want a little bit more of a casual therapist that's still ethical, because that's where I was going with it. It's like there's a difference between unethical and like oddly formal, you know? Okay, but moving on, I just wanted to say, if you've been cleaning with me from the beginning, you are now at 30 minutes. You're actually over 30 minutes. How close are you? You're probably closer than you thought you'd be. So moving on, I'm going to be answering the, 36 questions to fall in love. So I'm very excited. I'm pretty sure the first question is, I don't actually have it pulled up, but I'm actually making coffee right now. So I decided, hold on, I have to burp. No, I don't. So I decided I actually wanted to record the rest of this voiceover, kind of just, not editing it very much, because, you know, as you can probably imagine, as someone with ADHD, it's actually kind of hard to record a 70-minute voiceover. So I've been working on this throughout several days, and I honestly, as a viewer, hate it when I figure out the behind the scenes of the YouTube video, like, oh, this took the YouTuber multiple days, because then I feel guilty for enjoying it, you know? But I don't want you to feel that way. I just wanted to explain why the editing is about to become so much more minimal. So anyway, we're going to answer the 36 questions to fall in love. So let's see if any of you guys fall in love with me. And I'm also making coffee right now, so hopefully you don't mind some background noises, but if you do, whatever, you'll get over it. So the first question, I'm pretty sure, is, if you could have anyone as a dinner guest, dead or alive, who would it be? And my answer would of course be Ani DeFranco. Ani DeFranco is a folk singer that I am very obsessed with, and I have been obsessed with since I was 14 years old. Let's see. You probably don't know any of her songs because she is kind of underground. I'm genuinely not trying to be a piece of shit when I say that, but she is pretty underground, especially to this generation. She was a little more prominent in the 90s because she was this like queer punk icon with like facial piercings and dreads and tats, and now that's a little bit more normalized, so she's not like inherently an icon just for being like bisexual and rude. So anyway, but I think her most popular song is called 32 Flavors. You might recognize it. I don't know. I actually don't even know if that's her most popular song, but I think it is. It's like, squint your eyes and look closer. I'm not between you and your ambition. I'm a poster girl with no poster. I'm 32 flavors and then some. And I'm like totally in the wrong key, but I don't even care. So anyway, her lyrics have just done so much for me. She has changed my life and saved my life and everything. She is fucking amazing. I love her so much. So that would be definitely the person that I would want to have as a dinner guest over anyone else. So now I'm going to Google the 36 questions to fall in love. How's your cleaning going? Are you keeping on track? Are you having trouble keeping on track? Am I talking too slow for you? I hope not, because I really do want to be talking fast enough for you. And anyway, I have my coffee ready. I'm just going to drink it black right now because the milk's been in the fridge for a little while, so I'm a little nervous about it, even though I literally drank the milk yesterday. I just decided it's not okay today. Okay, what's the next question? Would you like to be famous? In what way? I would like to be famous, and I have always answered this question in this way. I would like to be famous in the way I currently am famous. Sorry, the cats are playing with the blinds. I actually get recognized in public sometimes, which is kind of crazy. And by sometimes I mean like at least once a week or so. I will get recognized in public. It is so crazy. So currently I'm an Instagrammer and a YouTuber, and like I guess the thing is I wouldn't want to be so famous that like people track where my flight's going, you know? I heard of someone super famous who, like, there was literally a mob when her flight landed because they figured out where her flight was going. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I kind of understand why some celebrities take, like, private flights. I never want to be a private jet kind of person, you know? I never want to be that level of famous where I can't go to the grocery store, you know? I really do love when people come up to me. It is so fucking awesome when I'm recognized. I love it more than anything. So, but if it was a crazy mob of people that were loud, and like if I had bad experiences, like people hurting me physically, like, or emotionally, I think that would be beyond what I would want for fame. I do think fame is pretty cool. I have always wanted to be famous, but that sounds really freaky when I say it, but it's kind of true. Like, I've always wanted to be seen. I'd rather be seen imperfect than be invisible and perfect. Like, I'm gonna make mistakes, and I have made mistakes, and y'all have seen me make mistakes, but I prefer that immensely to never having been seen at all. And I guess I'm just an attention whore because it's never been enough for me to just have like some family or whatever that love me and see me. I want to be seen. It's, you know, that desire to be seen, I guess, whatever. Anyway. Number 3, before making a telephone call, do you ever rehearse what you are going to say? And if so, why? Yes, I definitely do, especially if it's like I need to get new glasses and I'm about to go to the mall to like ask them to do it, and I have like a whole script planned. It's like, so I wanted to let you know, I wanted to let you know, sorry, that's a bad start, never mind, I'm not going to do that. See, I'm preparing it right now. So here's what I'm going to say. I just thrifted these glasses frames the other day, and I was wondering how much it would cost to get my prescription lenses put in them. Oh, I nailed that. And then I kind of take it from there. So yeah, if I were to call someone to ask for my prescription, it's just like, hey, how are you doing? You have to make sure you ask that because I feel like that matters. And then I'll be like, I just ran out of my birth control. I was hoping to get my prescription refilled. Thank you so much. So yes, I do typically rehearse phone calls, even to like friends, close family friends and stuff. I'll at least rehearse the first few sentences. That's kind of just what I do. Number 4, what would constitute a perfect day for you? I would say waking up early and being very productive and having lots of sex with my boyfriend. Definitely making videos, but more like filming videos. Filming is definitely my favorite part of the process. Editing is not my favorite. Uploading is not my favorite. Responding to comments is not my favorite. I do genuinely really like all of those things, but they're just not like for me, for example, I have so many videos that I filmed that I've never edited and uploaded, like videos that I think are good. I even hold on to videos from like over 10 years ago that I've never uploaded. And it's like, obviously I'm not going to upload them at this point. I literally filmed that when I was 13 years old. But anyway, I still keep the footage because I just have an easier time filming than I do anything else. All those other things, I often have trouble maintaining motivation for them. So, I have trouble editing. I have trouble motivating myself to edit. I have trouble motivating myself to respond to comments. But filming feels so natural for me. It feels like a natural way of life to just film almost everything I do. So I would wake up early. I would be productive, like tidy my room. I would definitely go thrifting, obviously. I would go to like multiple thrift stores. I would hang out with friends. Just one of those like late nights, outdoors, hanging out with friends, smoking maybe a tiny little bit of weed, something like that. Hanging out with my cats a lot. Honestly, just like a chill day. Oh, I think I would end it by being in a show. So like I would be in a show in the evening and then all night like hang out with friends, you know? So I'm a performer. I do community theater in my area, and that would definitely be like the ideal thing, is to be in a performance or to like watch something I directed, because I also direct theater. So something like that. I also love learning, so probably learning a little something, maybe reading a little bit. Unfortunately, I really don't read that much in my daily life these days, which is part of the reason why I really want to go back to school. So, but I really do want to get back into that. So I guess all of those things would constitute a perfect day for me. I guess also I would probably be in Hawaii, really, because I would also probably be in the perfect place, and I would be married to my boyfriend because I just really want to take that step someday, and I think my perfect day would involve being married to him because I really love him and like him and want that. And it can't really be my perfect day without my kids. I do want to have kids someday really, really bad. So, probably my perfect day would be in Hawaii with my kids and my husband and my other family too, like my brother and my mother and blah, 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 blah. That would probably be my perfect day, but that day isn't there yet. So anyway, I gave you multiple different answers, so whatever. That's good enough for now. When did you last sing to yourself, to someone else? I last sung to myself last night. Yesterday, I was doing blind musical theater karaoke while on the drive to rehearsal for the play I'm in. And that was just like really great. It really brought up my spirits. It was very delightful. And anyway, what else did I want to say about singing? Oh yeah, I did post it on my Instagram story actually. So I guess that was the last time I sung to someone else, is me posting myself singing privately to myself on Instagram. So next, if you were able to live to the age of 90 and retain either the mind or body of a 30-year-old for the last 60 years of your life, which would you want? I've been thinking about this question for a long time because honestly, I have never answered these questions with my current boyfriend, but I've answered these questions on a lot of different first dates. And honestly, now that I think about it, the fact that I felt the desire to whip this out on certain dates to keep conversation flowing meant that we probably weren't doing that well to begin with. The fact that my boyfriend and I cannot stay focused on the 36 questions to fall in love long enough to answer all of them means that we have so many other things to talk about. So anyway, but I have answered these questions so many times with a bunch of different people. And I think I would rather retain the body of a 30-year-old so that I can get around easy, blah, 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 blah. And like, I want to maintain the wisdom and experience of the 90-year-old. I think that's really interesting. And, you know, some other people see it like if you live to the age of 90 and retain the mind of a 30-year-old, that actually just means you're like sharp, you know, that you don't have dementia, etc. But I'm still going to pick what I pick because this is honestly such a complicated question. I could talk about it for a while. But that's my vote for now. Number 7, do you have a secret hunch about how you will die? I do not. I used to think I was going to be kind of responsible for my own death. Like I was going to eventually take my life. That was my plan. But now I'm like, no, something is eventually going to take me. And I don't know. I still feel, now that I've decided to live, I feel so young that it doesn't feel like there's any world where I don't live. I know that sounds really fucking weird though. I don't even know. It's impossible to imagine my own death, obviously, because I'm a mortal creature and it's just inherent in my being that it's impossible for me to imagine my own death unless I get really close to it, I'm sure. I know a lot of people, when they have near-death experiences, they're like faced with their own mortality, but I feel kind of invincible. I've even had like 1 or 2 near-death experiences, I guess, and I still didn't feel mortal. I kind of felt like I was going to get through it no matter what or something, which is crazy. But no, I don't know how I'm going to die. I hope I don't die ever. 8, name 3 things you and your partner appear to have in common. Okay, this is easy. 1, we both have an internet connection. 2, we both like YouTube. And 3, we both like Alana Famers. Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe you hate this, but if you're 42 minutes into this video, I don't feel like you hate me, probably. With that being said, I do watch Gabby Hannah's podcast enough every single time I fucking clean because it's somehow so motivating, and I do not like Gabby Hannah at all. But in a way, maybe I like her because I watch her content, I guess. I don't even know. But yeah, those are the 3 things we have in common. 9, for what in your life do you feel most grateful? I will say my apartment, because everything involved in my, like, first of all, I didn't think this was going to be able to happen. I didn't think I was going to be able to move out so soon. I am 22, obviously, but like, I moved out freshly 18. And that's crazy. Like, I moved out when my peers were still in high school because I got my GED and then went straight to college. And I also became a CNA, which is a certified nursing assistant. So I got like a stable job and I immediately moved out into this really shitty 1-bedroom apartment, and actually moved in with my boyfriend at the time. And then I had to move back in with my parents about 6 months later because I ran out of money and I got burnt out for my CNA job. So I had to quit and blah, 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 blah. It's just, we live and we learn, right? So I decided I was going to stay at my parents' house until I graduated nursing school. But then nursing school didn't happen. And then after a very long time of being truly, truly broke, YouTube started paying me enough to live. In like May of 2025 was the first month where it paid me like a job, you know? And obviously income with YouTube is so up and down. I'm not rich by any means, but I can afford rent, and it's not even like, it's not like I even struggle to afford my share of the rent. My boyfriend and I split the rent. That's a huge part of it, is like, I didn't want to live with anyone else when I eventually did move out. But I didn't want to live alone, you know? It was a catch-22, because living with someone else is complicated, you know? Living with my other family members for as long as I did, I grew to dislike certain things about them and resent certain things about them, which is honestly just the natural, like, progression of things. If you're an adult and you're living with your parents for an extended period of time, it's just kind of just going to happen, you know? That's at least my opinion. I mean, some people really can live with their parents forever, and I have honestly a great relationship with all of my family members. I really, truly do. But for me personally, I'm like a very independent person. So even just someone being in the kitchen while I'm cooking really can piss me off. So I didn't want to financially take on the burden of living completely alone, and I also couldn't take on that financial burden, but I didn't want to be lonely, you know? For that very short period of time that I lived alone in my very shitty 1-bedroom apartment when I was 18, I felt really fucking lonely and sad. So I thought I wasn't going to be able to move into an apartment anytime soon. But I actually did make a Pinterest board of apartment live in 2026, of how I wanted my apartment to look, etc. I just put that in there. I made it like mid 2025. For some reason, I was just like, yeah, I'm going to live in an apartment in 2026. And I really didn't think that was in the cards for me, but I just decided it was somehow going to happen. And it just happened. It just fell into my lap. My boyfriend already had this 2-bedroom apartment, and it just worked out so beautifully. And so I'm most grateful for my apartment because I'm most grateful for like the love I experienced in this apartment, like my beautiful boyfriend and my beautiful cats. And like when I host people, that brings me so much joy. I'm most grateful for like my apartment because of the walkability. I can walk anywhere and I'm so close to everything, and that's so epic. And that's like what first came to my mind. And I kind of wish I said something like my family, you know, but that's just what I feel right now. That's the current phase of life I'm in, is that the thing I'm most grateful for is my apartment. All right. Next, number 10, if you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be? First of all, I wouldn't change anything because I really like the person I ended up being. And you know what? There is actually one thing. I would make my parents care about my eating disorder. That is like the one thing I resent them for not doing, is I was so clearly like severely underweight, and they so clearly were neglecting me in that way. Like they did not take care of me. They did not encourage me to eat. I mean, I guess maybe they tried, but all I wanted was for them to like do that thing they do in eating disorder places where they sit with you while you eat and then they make you not use the bathroom for 30 minutes after. I really just wanted that. I really wanted someone to like worry about me and to keep an eye on me and stuff, but nobody ever did. And that was just but part of me is glad that happened, because it was a reminder that, you know, I really only have myself. You get to a certain age where you realize that your parents aren't perfect. And I realized that pretty early on, but this was when I realized that they were deeply flawed. They didn't have the capacity or the time to take care of me. And I was a child, and I really deserved that. And now I see my little sister, she is very well cared for by my parents, and she is almost 18. And I think she will continue to be very well cared for my parents, when I felt like I was no longer cared for by my parents when I was 14 or 15, you know, when my eating disorder was really bad and they never even noticed that I didn't eat dinner, you know. It's just so strange how things change, and I'm really glad they can be better parents to my sister. She really does deserve that, but I definitely resent them to a certain extent. in that way. Okay. So I guess that is what I would change. But I guess my first answer was that I don't want to change anything. Like all those questions, like, would you go back and change blah, blah, blah? Most of the time my answer is no, because I'm worried that if I went back and changed one thing, it would actually change many, many, many different things, you know? But yeah, I could live without having had an eating disorder. I mean, obviously I think having an eating disorder was kind of inevitable. It's actually in my genetics. But I don't think I had to have it for as long as I had it. And I think if I had really good support, I don't think I would have had it for like 3 years. Okay, take 4 minutes and tell your partner your life story in as much detail as possible. 4 minutes is crazy specific. No more, no less. Also, if you have been cleaning with me from the beginning, you are about to hit 50 minutes, which I'm so proud of you if you're doing that. And even if you just started, I'm so fucking proud of you. That's amazing. You're doing great. 4 minutes. Okay. I was born in Portland, Oregon on December 2nd, 2003 to my two parents, Laurel and Jesse. My mother was 23 and my dad was, I think, 27 or 28. They were married and I was their first kid. And they had, I guess the next notable thing is that my brother was born on December 29th, 2005, and we were instantly best friends. And then we moved to California and my dad was getting his master's degree at UC Davis. And I think it was his master's he has 2 master's degrees. It was either his master's in theater or his master's in education. I don't even remember. And then we moved to Detroit and my mom had my little sister, Charlotte, and that was her last kid. And we lived in Detroit, Michigan for a while my dad taught at Wayne State. I'm literally just giving away, this is just how I would tell my story, you know, my 4-minute story to anyone. So I hope I'm not giving away too much on the internet, but I really don't care. So yeah, my dad taught at Wayne State and my mom also went to nursing school when we lived in Detroit. And that's when my grandma started living with us, my mom's mom. And so I pretty much grew up from the jump with my mom's mom living with us because I was 5 when my little sister was born. So I was really young. And that's when I met one of my best friends at the time, Abe, and, you know, a lot of like interesting memories happened in Detroit. And then my dad got a job at Mount Hood Community College in Oregon. So we moved back to Oregon, right? Because I was originally born in Oregon. I lived my first 2 years in Oregon and then we decided to move back. This is when I really started to make some friends. I really struggled making friends all throughout growing up. And at the time I only had that one friend, Abe, and I was actually really bullied in school when I lived in Detroit. I was really made fun of. It sucked. And then I started 3rd grade and I had a guy teacher for the first time. It was crazy. And obviously we had just moved across the country, so I was like a newbie, but I ended up making 3 great friends, Francis, Lily, and Taylor. Some of them are not in my life anymore. You know, Taylor's not in my life at all anymore, but if she were to reach out, I'm afraid to say I would like jump right back into her life, you know, because I still have so much love for her. And Lily is like sort of in my life. Like we see each other at least like twice a year. Funny enough, we actually live in the same city now, which is such a coincidence, but we still don't see each other super often because we just don't run in like the same circles at all. But I still love her. And then Frances, we live 2 hours apart, but we still see each other very regularly. I love Frances so much. So yeah, I made 3 friends in elementary school and at least sort of in contact with all of them still. And so yeah, we lived in Bridalveil, Oregon, which is this very, very tiny town. It's not even a town. It was called a ghost town then, but now I don't even know what it's called because mostly everyone moved out there because it is so rural. I can't even describe to you how rural it is. I recently visited and it's like, holy shit, like the closest town is literally like a very, very rural town and it's like 12 minutes away, you know, it's very rural. So, and then I went to school in Corbett, and all of these are just like tiny little Oregonian towns you can Google if you are interested in and you want to stalk me. But after a few years, my dad got a new job. So long story short, my dad was teaching theater at Mount Hood Community College, but then he didn't get tenure, so he was fired. And then my dad started working a bunch of different jobs. He was like the dean of a high school, which is really interesting and honestly kind of impressive looking back because I had no idea what that meant when I was a kid. And he also worked at like Job Corps, which is the place where people at risk are assisted in getting jobs, which is also a really cool job that he did. But he was sick of it. He really wanted to teach theater. So he applied all around the country and then he got a job actually being the theater professor at Butte College in, I think it's technically Oroville. It's by California. It's in California. It's by Chico. It's by Paradise, California. Obviously, this changed everything if you don't know yet. So I think this is over 4 minutes at this point. I'm so sorry. So when I found out my dad got the job, I was screaming, crying, having a full toddler fit in my little loft bed in my tiny bedroom. And it was so awful. I was heartbroken. But I ended up getting kind of used to the idea by the time we were moving for school. And, I guess it was okay. We moved to Paradise, California, which was a small town outside of the community college because my parents thought it would be more homey, but it didn't end up being more homey because now I was a 7th grader and dealing with like conservatives, honestly, just to put it frankly. And if you're not a conservative and you're watching this, let's just be real, you're not. So I was dealing with like homophobes and stuff. And this is also when I started making YouTube videos, actually. When I was 12 years old, I started actually like religiously making YouTube videos. And I had my first viral video too, which is the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade makeup tutorial. So yeah, I was really struggling socially in school. And then in 8th grade, I had to switch schools. And I also was really struggling with my mental health, like depression, suicidal ideation, all these different fun things. And that's when I first started going to therapy and stuff. And then when I was 14, when I was a freshman in high school, I decided to go to this fancy art school in Chico, California. When I was a freshman in high school, my house burnt down in the campfire in Paradise, California. And that is a whole own story of its own. But I was homeless for 2 months, and then we got a new house, and we lived in Chico for a little while. Chico, California, the city. And honestly, I miss that house so much. And it's in so many of my dreams. It was like this beautiful mid-century dream, and it had a pool, and we could not afford it. We were pretty house broke for a while, but our insurance company actually went bankrupt, so we were really struggling. The fire was a very interesting time. Oh my God, how do I even tell all this story? But then COVID happened. Long story short, we moved back to Oregon. My dad lost his job because of COVID, really. Like, the funding for the arts was totally cut off and everything. So my dad lost his job, and my mom graduated graduate school, so she was now a nurse practitioner. And so we could kind of rely on her job, not to support us necessarily, but for being the reason we moved while my dad found another job. So we decided to just like pick whatever, because she was getting job offers all over Oregon. We knew we wanted to go back to Oregon. So I feel like she got a job offer in Grants Pass, Salem, and Eugene. So we looked at all of them. I kind of wanted Salem because I really wanted to be close to Portland, as close as possible. I figured if we lived in Eugene, we really wouldn't visit Portland that often because it would be, if you didn't know, Salem is an hour south of Portland, which is really the most prominent city in Oregon. And Eugene is 2 hours south. So I was like, my 16-year-old self was like, the difference between 2 hours and 1 hour is so much. And it's true. Like, I will drive 1 hour for anything, but 2 hours, I'm like, because then it's like 4 hours round trip, That's a lot. So anyway, but we decided against Salem because it was 2020, and that was when a lot of Black Lives Matter protests were happening. And Salem specifically had a lot of, what's the word? I can't think of it. White people who thought that they were better than Black people. White supremacists, sorry. Salem had white supremacy a lot, so, and Eugene didn't as much, so we literally moved to Eugene because of the decreased amount of white supremacy. But I also did get a really good vibe from Eugene, to be honest. We ended up moving into this house from the 70s. I call it the tree house in my mind, and or just the street name it's on. And I love that house so much. Long story short, I got TikTok famous in 2022. That was a very interesting time. It's like all these things are kind of marked by different social media happenings. And I ended up getting my GED because I could not complete high school in a traditional way. I just could not. It was not working out well for me at all. And then I moved out of my parents' house. I became a CNA. I thought I was going to do healthcare. I went to college for a couple of years. I was in a couple different relationships. I've done a lot of theater now, and I'm teaching theater now, and I don't know. I want to go back to school, and now I'm a YouTuber full time. There's so much more in my life I would love to share. Oh, is my butt out? Okay, it doesn't look like it is. Sorry, I got nervous for a second. I really took way too long with that. Because now, if you've been cleaning with me the whole time, you are now almost at an hour. I'm really proud of you. Good job. I don't even know if we're going to get through the... Sorry, I don't even know if we're going to get through these questions, actually. Number 12. If you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one ability or quality, what would it be? Dance. I wish I could dance. I wish I was a triple threat. I wish I was an incredible dancer, like ballet. Like, I wish that, like, I could do chorus line. I don't know. I wish I was an incredible dancer. That's all. Because I do theater, and, you know, there are, like, the three main pillars of musical theater. It's, like, singing, acting, and dancing. And I'm a pretty damn good singer. I'm a pretty damn good actor, but I am ass at dancing. I'm horrible. I would love to be able to dance. And I would love to not have to do any work to be able to dance. Number 14. Is there something you've dreamed of doing for a long time? Why haven't you done it? Yeah, I mean, I've dreamed of doing acting professionally for a long time. Why haven't I done it? I have tattoos, and honestly, I don't really feel like applying, because the thing about doing acting professionally is that it's not, you don't just get to, like, act professionally. Applying to jobs is the job. For me, I really love a reward. It's hard for me to motivate my brain to do work with zero reward. It's hard for me to motivate my brain even if there's a huge reward. For example, cleaning your room. Obviously, you get a clean room afterwards. That's amazing. But I still have so much trouble motivating my brain to actually do it. YouTube videos, obviously I get a reward, like I get paid, and then also like I get positive feedback a lot. That's a huge reward, but I still can't motivate myself to do it half the time. So the reason why I'm not a professional actor, even though I dreamed of that for a long time in childhood, is because I had no idea what the job actually looks like. It is actually way harder to get into it, and you have to spend literally hours a day like just memorizing shit and filming yourself doing shit, and you will not get a response back 98% of the time. And I just don't fuck with that. I like convenience. 15, what is the greatest accomplishment of your life? My answer to this, even just a year ago, was recovering from my eating disorder. But my answer now is 100K on YouTube. I am very proud of that accomplishment. Number 16, what do you value most in a friendship? Honesty. I don't really care about consistency. I suck at consistency. Loyalty, I mean, obviously loyalty matters, but I don't want a friend who lies to me more than anything. I would rather have a friend who ditches me the moment something goes wrong, or a friend who never responds to my texts, or a friend who blah, 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 blah. I really care about honesty. I mean, maybe actually the most important thing would be like care. I want them to care about me because if they're honest but they don't care about me, then they might just be mean, you know? So I don't even know, but I really do care about honesty a lot. What is your most terrible memory? Honestly, I don't even know. Right now, a conflict is coming to me that I had between me and my boyfriend, but it's not at all my most terrible memory. It's just that thing, like, a lot of times the most terrible things kind of fade over time. I look back on my old diaries and it like recounts terrible screaming fights I've had with like ex-boyfriends or like my dad in the past, and all of those were so much worse than what I'm about to say, but like terrible memories do tend to fade. But recently I had a conflict with my boyfriend where like I was just telling him all the ways in which him and his family it's not what I imagined of a future partner. And that was just so devastating for him to hear. And he was literally just sobbing, and I was just holding him, and I was just like, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I don't know why I just told you that, but I guess I felt like we were friends, you and me, and I could dish out that kind of thing. That was really, really hard and devastating and terrible. I consider that like our worst conflict right now, and our conflicts don't involve like yelling or insults or anything like that, but like communication, really, really hard communication. And honestly, like in hindsight, I probably should have kept those things to myself. And if I did want to communicate them, I could have communicated them in just like a really different way. I can't even explain how different, but just different. So yeah, that's what comes to mind. 19, if you knew that in 1 year you would die suddenly, would you change anything about the way you are now living? Why? The only thing I would really change is that I would look at my phone a lot less. I would like go outside more and go swimming and play. I would just play. But yeah, I would still make YouTube videos. I would make a lot of YouTube videos about how I'm going to die and how I'm preparing for that and all these things. Otherwise, I think I would live my life the exact same way I live it. I mean, maybe I would spend more money, but like, why even? Maybe I should just save that for people after I die. Because like, the fancy perfume that I want isn't going to matter to me after I die. I don't even know. Number 20, what does friendship mean to you? I don't know, I hate this question, but I guess friendship is what you have with a person you can tell anything to, who accepts you as you are, but also wants you to be the best version of yourself. And I don't even know. I guess that's my answer. Number 21, what roles do love and affection play in your life? I also hate this question, and since we're now at over an hour, so congrats y'all. This video ends at 71 minutes and 46 seconds, so I don't even know if I want to answer that question because it's fucking annoying to me. Like, what roles do, I don't know, like, I fuck my boyfriend a lot, like, I don't know, I guess that's love and affection. I mean, it's definitely love and affection, but it's like, I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for. Let's just move to 23. How close and warm is your family? Do you feel your childhood was happier than most other people's? My family is very warm and close, and yes, I do feel like my childhood was happier than most other people's in general. I just have like a really funny family, and they really support the arts, and like we never felt like we couldn't sing as kids or like express ourselves or be weird and be funny and make art, and all of that is really important to me. Number 24, how do you feel about your relationship with your mother? I feel great about it. My mom's a wonderful woman. It's been really strange adjusting from mother-daughter relationship to friendship. That's really where we're at now. Like, she's definitely someone who guides me and gives me advice, etc. And she's literally my mother, but it's not quite a mother-daughter relationship anymore. Like, she tells me things that she wouldn't tell me if I was 17. You know, she tells me things that she wouldn't tell me if I was a child, or even like freshly 18. Like, me being a more established adult, she feels comfortable telling me things, and that makes me feel really good, but it does feel way more like a friendship with time, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all, but it is just different. But yeah, she's wonderful. She just like walks into a room and just like lights up the whole room. Everybody loves her. She's extremely popular, and I see why, you know? She's amazing, and she's my mom. Like, I feel really lucky. She's very affectionate and loving and sweet and funny, and she calls me on my bullshit. You know, when I'm rude, she will tell me, and I will feel terrible about it because, and I like that. You know, I don't want a family that lets me get away with my bullshit. And by bullshit, I mean, you know, sometimes I'm rude, sometimes blah, 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 blah. So anyway, number 26, we're skipping all of the ones like where you're supposed to talk about how you and your partner feel together. So number 26, complete this sentence. I wish I had someone with whom I could share ... I don't know if I could complete that sentence because I do feel like I have someone with whom I can share whatever I want to share. Like, I wish I had someone with whom I could share theatrical experiences. Like, I do theater with my mom. I'm actually going to play with my mom right now. I do theater with my brother. I do theater with my boyfriend, blah, 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 blah. So I don't really feel like I need to share that. And I just realized I've been saying blah, 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 blah a lot recently, just in this voiceover when I feel insecure about how slowly I'm talking, and it's always 5 blahs. I'm pretty sure it's always 5 blahs. I'm pretty surprised by that. That's weird. Anyway, sometimes I like not sharing things with people. Sometimes I like being alone. There's nothing that I wish I could share with someone because I already am sharing it with someone, which is really great. 27, if you were going to become a close friend with your partner, please share what would be important for them to know. I'm autistic, so if you make a sound that's hard for me to handle and I have to put my headphones on, I'm not ignoring you. And I don't think you're annoying and blah, 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 blah. See, I did it again. Sometimes sound just hurts. you know? And it's really hard to explain, but it just does. And I have to protect myself from it a little bit. Sorry, my neighbor was like knocking on their wall, and I was like, am I being too loud? I'm literally just talking. That would be weird. Okay. Share an embarrassing moment in your life. There's so many, but what comes to mind first is coming out as a lesbian on the internet and then falling in love with a man. That's fucking embarrassing. I kind of wish that never happened, but it was also a great learning experience. So, when did you last cry in front of another person by yourself? I was feeling really depressed like 3 days ago, and so I cried to my boyfriend about it. And the next day I felt a little bit better, so I'm feeling okay. What, if anything, is too serious to be joked about? I would say almost nothing if you've personally experienced it. So like joking about sexual assault, not funny. But if you've experienced it and you're joking about your own sexual assault, that's okay. That's what I think. Like I'm a fan of dark humor. I think dark humor can be very therapeutic. So I feel like that's kind of on the table. I feel like anything's on the table if you've experienced it. Whether or not that's appropriate is a different question, because obviously in front of your employer, you shouldn't be joking about your essay, but in a very, very close-knit friend group where that kind of thing is already like a natural part of your friendship, that is probably on the table, you know? So I don't know. I'm sure there's something that I can think of that is too serious to be joked about, but not right now. If you've personally experienced it and you're joking about your personal experience, I feel like it's kind of okay. If you were to die this evening with no opportunity to communicate with anyone, what would you regret not having told someone? Why haven't you told them yet? I would probably regret not telling my sister, like, everything, that I miss her, that I'm sad that she's not a part of our family anymore. She just doesn't, like, hang out, and I really do miss being, like, a trio with her and my brother. And I haven't told her because why? I don't see the benefit. I've talked about this with my therapist, and, like, I don't see the benefit. I just want to be like nice to her as much as possible when she is around, you know, and encourage her to be around. But I don't want to like tell her that I miss her and that I hate that she's not around anymore and that it actually makes me kind of mad and sad, because I need to process my own feelings about that first before I bring that to her, I guess. But also I don't want to fight. Like that's kind of point blank period. I don't want to fight. And the only reason why I'm saying all this is because I'm pretty fucking sure she's not going to like watch this video to this point at least. But if she is, Charlotte, I love you, and I have really complicated feelings about you drifting away from us. And at the same time, I get it. Like, now that I've moved out, I do understand wanting some distance. It's just there's so much distance. There's so much. It's all distance. There's no, like, it's not bringing us closer how far away you are. It's only bringing us farther away. Like, for example, me moving away, I feel like has brought me actually closer to my family because I have more capacity and warmth for them when I'm around. And I just don't feel that way with my sister. Like, she's just never around. But not never, obviously. Oh gosh, I shouldn't get all the way into it because this video is actually ending. Thank you so much for cleaning with me. By the way, I just got too lazy to like film the rest, but here are the results. Thank you so much for watching. I love you so much. Please let me know how you're doing. I love you. Bye.